Today, I want to share a story behind my newest product. This dot grid journal that says she's crafty with lots of hand drawn art supplies scattered all over the place. It's playful, it's a little bit nostalgic, and totally inspired by the creative chaos that I love. I have always loved art supply, not just for what they make, but for what they mean. Creativity in motion. And I love the phrase, she's crafty, because when I hear it, I think of my sister Jenna doing this little dance and saying, she's crafty. It feels like an inside joke and a compliment all at the same time. I initially designed this journal for the Craftication pop up shop, but really, it's kind of a love letter to creative women, to the women who are always creating, who are sewing and knitting and drawing and painting and working in their junk journals and doing all of that with heart. So let's talk about my design process for this journal. Believe it or not, it all started with a conversation between my one employee, who I do not pay, ChatGPT. Yep, I often use AI as a collaborator as I try to work through what I'm going to make and how I'm going to make it. I use ChatGPT to give me a list of things I could possibly draw. I even had it come up with alternative taglines to She's Crafty, but I ended up going with my initial idea. My next step is to create a mood board on Pinterest. And I started doing this in the last year and have found it to be one of the best parts of my art process. I will never go back. I will never not make a mood board because one, they're just fun to make. And two, they can help me think through ideas, come up with new ideas, and remind me of what I'm working toward and the aesthetic that I want to have at the end result. So I filled up my Pinterest board with colors I loved, supply ideas, shapes I enjoyed, lettering styles I thought looked interesting. And then from there, I start to narrow down what I'm going to do. And one of the ways that I found to really make this project look more cohesive was to create a limited color palette. So if you look at this, there's a lot going on. But what I've done is make it look uniform by sticking with 6 colors. I also use this project as a way to kind of have a lettering playground. I am pretty new to hand lettering and I have a lot of hesitancy around it, but I knew that a lot of the supplies would have labels and I wanted to test out different writing styles on all the labels. And I wanted to show you a few of the things that I did along the way to help me make a decision about where I wanted to go. So the first thing I did was I sketched out all of my individual motifs. And this is still a sketch, so I'm moving them around on my canvas to figure out where they fit in. The next thing I do is I create a color map. And that's where I just take my color palette and I color little blobs over all of my motifs to see how I can get a nice cohesive color palette across the whole journal so I don't end up with all the pink things at the top and all the green things at the bottom. Then I set out to draw each motif in more detail and play with color and texture a little bit more. Once the cover was done, I just didn't want to stop. So I designed a pattern for the inside that is based on the Sawtooth Star quilt pattern. I love quilting and it just felt like a nice little quiet nod to a craft that I personally enjoy myself. And then at the very end, I added this little skein of yarn and some yarn flying off the page. And that's just because I love those tiny little details in the products that I buy. And so I want to make sure to give my customers that same experience that I know I love. So after finalizing the design, I sent them off to my vendor, which in this case was Danique, and I ordered a small batch for Craftication. And when they arrived, I was honestly just so happy with how they turned out. The colors are what I imagined. The feel is what I imagined. I really love the way the interior turned out. And I added this extra texture at the end to kind of give it a little bit more visual interest. So this journal is a little piece of everything that I love. Design, hand lettering, a kind of block print nod, storytelling, and I hope that people who use it have fun making little scribbly doodles all in the margins along their way as they're working through the pages themselves. This project reminded me that even the small things we carry day to day can have so much meaning, and that following my creative joy is always worth it, even when I'm not totally sure where it's going to go when I start. You can now find the She's Crafty journal in my Etsy store, and the link is below if you'd like to snag one for yourself or for your favorite creative crafty friend. And I would love to hear in the comments, what is something you have made recently that was just for the fun of it? Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. And if you're new around here and you want to know what this channel is all about, watch this video and I'll tell you everything.